Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bites. My name is Clifton, and today I will be doing a review live stream. So I have two new releases from Barrell Craft Spirits. One is a bourbon, one is a rye. So I thought I would put them head to head with some of my own experiments with blending. Now, I haven't done too much blending on this channel, but I know the basic ingredients for these different whiskeys. So in addition to my reviews of these two new releases, which is the batch 35 of the bourbon and batch 4 of the rye, I'm going to try making my own blends and see how they come out. So it should be a fun one. I wanted to do something different since we only do have two whiskeys here tonight, but I wanted to make it, worth your while. So thank y'all for tuning in. If you're watching live, hello, good to see you in the chat. If you're watching the replay, hey, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below if you've tried any of these bourbons or ryes. Donnie lost me for a bit. That's concerning, but let me know in the chat if anyone else is having issues. I should be okay. Looks good on my end, but we see quite a few people here in the chat. 5 fingers, high five to you, Donnie. Make up my mind. Oh, because the subscriber only chat. I turned it off for this time. I'm going to see how it goes. I turned that on initially because we were getting a lot of bots, so we'll see if the bots are still around. If not, well, welcome to those that are not subscribers. But if you're not a subscriber, why aren't you? You can hit the subscribe button and get access to my chat all the time. I usually just turn it off because we do get a lot of bots on here. So Adam Free, good chatting with you earlier. Hope to chat with you again later. Donnie comment for me again. Joseph says he is live. Taterdom, cheers, Cliffy, and everyone else. Well, good to see you. Thank you for chopping. Thank you for stopping in is what I meant to say. Swan is here as well. Whiskey knows. What is up, Marty? Good to see you. Audio and video are all good. Thank y'all for confirming. So, Donnie, it must just be on your end. What's up, Joseph, as well? I don't know if I missed your name earlier. I saw you in the chat. But so we have two new releases from Barrell Craft Spirits. One is their bourbon. One is their rye. So I have a little bit of info about each of these. I thought I would do my own little experimental blend. I'm going to do the blend at the beginning of the stream, and then I'm going to go to these blends after I've tried the barrel and see how they compare. Make it a little fun. So we're going to start with our bourbon blend. So what I'm going to do, so we know that the ingredients of this new Barrell batch 35, I'm not sure if that shows there. So we know it's made up of, I'll tell you here, but I got the deets distilled in Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So we do have some ages for each of these, but there's nothing on the specific bottle. I'm just looking at the sales sheet. So I'm going to pick, what I think might make a really dang good bourbon with whiskeys from each of these states. So I realized for the rye, I left a bottle out of frame, so I might have to go grab that. But we're going to start with the bourbon. So we know it is Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So where do we start? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and grab that bottle. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm double checking the ages here. Okay, the Kentucky is about 8 years old. I know I'm leaving the frame already this early into a stream, but I want to get that bottle, so I'm ready to go for the rye blend. So give me 10 seconds. Look, I'll put the timer on. Don't leave. I just realized I forgot the Canadian rye for the rye whiskey. So 10 seconds. Timer starts now. Ah, man, I missed it. I was a little over 10 seconds there, but I got the whiskey, so we're all good. I just didn't want to have to go run and grab that midstream. So, all right, so we got all the ingredients for two of our blends here. Let's go ahead and mix our bourbons. Like I said, Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Well, we're going to start with Indiana. So they only used a 6, 7, and 8-year-old Indiana, but I'm going to try to one-up it a bit. I'm going to do this Remus Repeal Reserve batch 6. So we have some up to, up to 14 year or up to 16 years technically, but a little bit older Indiana bourbon we're going to put in this blend. Now, I'm not being very accurate because I don't know the percentages of each of these, so I'm going to do my best guess at what maybe this flavor profile would be. So we got a good base of that Indiana bourbon there. Next up is a Tennessee bourbon. Now, Tennessee, I have my ups and downs about it. I was originally going to actually add in this one, which is a 15-year George Dickel, But on trying this, it just doesn't do it for me. So I got a new bottle. Actually, have not tried this yet. I got a 6-year-old Bib and Tucker. First time opening it, I got this as a gift a while back ago. Also a Tennessee bourbon. I'm going to take a quick taste of this one. Now, we know the Tennessee whiskey in here is 7 and 13 years old. So going a little bit younger here. I just want to do a quick little taste of this before I commit to it because I haven't tried it yet. Hopefully it's a little better than that 15-year Dickel that I have. Oh, it's really nice on the nose. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, so much better. I just have a really bad pick of this, or a bad single barrel of this. It's just not doing it for me. So we're going to go with the 6-year Bib and Tucker. Not too much of that. We're going to put just like a, oh, wow, I spilled. Wow, it wouldn't be a Cliffy stream if it wasn't a spill on the keyboard. It's all good. It's all good. We won't worry about that. I should have made more room for my experiments here. All right, let's try that again. It's a full bottle, so it's a little difficult. There we go. Got a little bit of that Bib and Tucker. Got that Tennessee whiskey into the blend. And lastly, Kentucky bourbon. Now, they are calling for an 8-year-old Kentucky bourbon. Wait, I already did the Kentucky bourbon. No, I didn't. Where's my Kentucky bourbon? Guys, why am I like going crazy? Don't worry. I got to solve for this. I got a bourbon right over here. No time for this time. All right, we got our bourbon. How did I forget bourbon? Of all the things, of all the components of this, I'm like, how did I forget Kentucky bourbon? So I just grabbed the first thing. I got a 10-year-old Eagle Rare here. I'm going to add this to the blend. Wow, you can tell I'm just so good at these experiments. That's why we do them so often on this channel. We don't. Let's add some Kentucky bourbon to round that out. Maybe cancel out some of that Tennessee note. All right, so we have our bourbon blend, which consists of George Remus from Indiana, Eagle Rare from Kentucky, and Bib and Tucker / Dickel from Tennessee. So we're going to let that sit for the stream. We're going to let it mingle a bit. Let's go to make our rye blend, and then we'll get into these barrel whiskey reviews. I want to get these poured and give them time to mingle so it's fair, right? Because if I do it right when I'm ready to do them, why am I out of focus? Come on. There we go. I feel like it's not fair, so let's give them time to mingle. So let's do it and do our rye blend. All right. So for the rye, the Barrell Rye Batch 4, it's a blend of Indiana rye, Tennessee rye, Kentucky rye, and Canadian rye. So 4 different ryes. So let's make our blend. We do know that the base of this, or at least the first one they call out, is a 10-year-old Indiana rye. Well, lucky for us, one of my favorite Indiana ryes is a 10-year-old Indiana rye. This is Templeton 10-year. So this is it's 104 proof. So the proofs of these aren't quite barrel level at cask strength, but we do have a 10-year-old Indiana rye, which is, again, pretty much the first thing they call out on this Barrell Batch 4. So I'm really curious to see how this compares. We'll put a good bit of that in there. Now, in terms of Tennessee rye, I actually didn't have any on hand. Tennessee rye is something that I don't try very often. So I went out to Total Wine today and got a cute little 375 of this Jack Daniel's single barrel rye, coming in at 47% ABV. Now, I have had this before. I also know they just came out with the bottled and bond rye, but I'm realizing my running around has made my setup not so pretty. But yeah, they do have a bottled and bond rye that I haven't tried yet, but I feel like this would be a good component. Again, barrel's pretty much of a premium product, so why not blend it in a single barrel rye in here? Now, I noticed this one's really sweet, so I don't want to make it too sweet. Barrel rye to me has not really traditionally been super sweet, so I don't want to mess it up with that. Now let's go ahead and add a Kentucky rye. So I should think, okay, Kentucky rye. You know, I could go with like a Wild Turkey 101 rye. I could go with a Michter's rye, but you know what? I wanted to step it up. I want to elevate it a bit. So I went with E.H. Taylor rye, straight rye whiskey, 100 proof. We're going to add some really good Kentucky rye. Now, the barrel rye only has a 6-year-old Kentucky. We're going to add we actually don't know the age on this. We know it's at least 4, but I imagine it's probably in the 7 to 8-year-old range. And lastly, they have a Canadian rye. Now, theirs is 14 years old. I decided to go with one of my favorite Canadian ryes. It is non-age stated, so I don't know the age on it. We need some Donald Rants in the chat to give us an age statement. But it is Alberta Premium Canadian cask strength rye whiskey. So this might up the proof a bit. This is 63.7% ABV. Got to put in some Canadian rye. It's not a good, well-rounded rye blend without some Canadian in there. Now, definitely over poured on this one. So we're gonna have a fun after party on Patreon. Um, it's like we'll save this for the after party. Oh no, we'll do a sip of it. But so we got our two blends here. Like I said, those are just gonna mingle while we do our reviews of the Barrell products. But maybe I should have pre-poured them before the stream so I didn't have to run around twice. But it's okay. We're good to go now. So let me catch up in the chat and see what I missed. Oh man, so many great folks here tuning in. Run Rev Collins in the chat. Zofer's here. What's up, Zofer? 4-Leaf Whiskey. What is up? So good to see you. DMC, good to see you as well. Who else? Did I miss anyone? There's some folks jumping in. Emily's here. Good to see you, Emily. Hi to you. Tommy D, hit that like. Hey, yeah, I appreciate it. Trust me, I'm off to a bit of a hectic start, but hopefully, it's only uphill from here. Emily just had a Wild Turkey 101 Boo Rye for myself. Oh, for myself. I'll say for year. No, for yourself. Not bad. Yeah, let me know. Are you guys doing any experiments with blending? I'd love to hear what you come up with. Hey, even if you're someone that doesn't normally blend, try a blend. Grab 2 bottles that you think would go together, or maybe 2 bottles that you don't like. Mix them together and see what happens. Let me know your results in the comments below if you're watching the replay, or on the chat if you are here live. Tommy D said, it's been a while since watching a stream. Well, hey, I'm so glad you can make it. Good to see you again. Glad to see some folks returning and some new folks here as well. So cheers to y'all. Okay, Donnie hasn't made fun of me for screwing up more than twice so far, so I think we're good. System Trent says Cliff gets tipsy tonight. Oh, absolutely. You saw the pour of my blend, so if we can keep people in the chat, we might. It's going to definitely be the after party. I like how I can see a reflection of myself in the bottom of the glass. Isn't that weird? You see that? Wait, how do I angle it? I don't even know how I'm doing that. Blah blah blah. I don't know. That's creepy. Okay. Wow. Seems you would think I'm already tipsy. I'm not. I'm just hyper and excited. So mash that thumbs up, click subscribe, and ring that bell. I appreciate all the info dump there, Donnie. Tony back into donuts. Welcome to the chat. Good to see you again, Tony. Yeah, but let's get into our reviews. Let me make some desk space for myself because I realized I I panicked and grabbed all these bottles last minute. So let's make some room for the stars of the show tonight. The new Barrell Craft Spirits releases. First of which, we're going to start with the bourbon. So I showed this a little bit earlier. This is the batch 35 of Barrell Bourbon, 19,077 bottles. Or no, this is the bottle number, so I'm not sure the total number. 6 years old minimum, 58.75% ABV, 117.5 proof. So I do have more info. Like I said, it's Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. The oldest whiskey in here is a 13-year-old Tennessee whiskey. The youngest whiskey in here is a 6-year-old Indiana bourbon. Now, there's plenty across the board, all mixed in there, but those are the base components of this bourbon. So they do give us tasting notes, but I don't like to read those when I'm doing a review. I like to give my own, especially like a first impression review like this. Also want to give a shout out to the folks over at Barrell Craft Spirits for sending these bottles along for review. Now, again, when I do the comparison to my own blend, I'm not going to be like, oh, this is exactly what they did, but I made it better. No, I based it on the info I had here. Their pros. I've interviewed their former national director, Will Schragus, on the channel a couple times, actually. I know he's moved on to other opportunities, but still so thankful for the folks for sending these along anyways for me to give a chance to review. So let's go and give this batch 35 bourbon a nose. I saw a chat, I think it was from DMC, that said that they've had the latest batches of Barrell. So let me know. Have any of y'all had this batch 35 yet from Barrell for the bourbon? Viking Bourbon in the chat. What's up? Good Thursday evening to you. Man, the nose on that, it's kind of like, it's darker and richer than I would expect. I see the 6-year age statement, and you got to realize with the blend, like that's the minimum. So I'm like, this does not smell like a 6-year-old bourbon. But again, that 6-year-old is the youngest. The Indiana in here is 6, 7, and 8 years old. So my blend, I put a little bit older Indiana, but a little bit younger Tennessee. So curious to see how they compare. But on the nose, yeah, it's a little oaky, a little bit like a getting a little bit of like banana bread. And I think it's probably not from the Tennessee. With rye, sometimes I can get that, like maybe a Tennessee rye, but the bourbon, I'm thinking that probably is the Kentucky bourbon. It might be a little bit of Barton. Again, I don't know. I don't know what bourbon's in here, but it's kind of got some of that Barton characteristic to it. Um, yeah, but it's like darker and oakier. It's definitely not super sweet on the nose. It's just got a hint of that banana. Well, it's the first whiskey of the night. Let's go ahead and give it a taste and see how it does. Cheers, y'all. Ooh, man. I did a stream probably 3 months ago or so where I reviewed batch 33, 34, and the Barrel New Year 2023. And I was super impressed. Like, I haven't tried the batches in a while. I think the last one I had before those two were in the 20s somewhere. But this, I feel like each time they kind of find something unique about it that I don't know. I haven't compared this directly with the 33 or the 34 yet, but this one has a really cool, like, hmm. I mean, I don't want to define that yet, but it's really like it's definitely fruity. It's leaning like red fruits, like a little bit like I used to use like strawberry jelly versus like grape jelly when I was younger. I'm getting a little bit of like strawberry jelly on there. Yeah. It's got a little bit of like, I mean, maybe it's just me associating with the strawberry jelly, but it's got like a toastiness, like a little bit of like a burnt toast note to it too, that I think complements the fruitiness. I mean, it's literally like I don't want to say like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's like I don't know if y'all like had like toast and just put like butter and strawberry jam on it. Getting a little bit of that. That's really nice. Something I don't typically get in a bourbon. There are some spices though that I think come through. I think that's probably most likely from I don't know the Tennessee. I will say, I mean, one of the first things I like to say about something that has Tennessee bourbon in it doesn't taste, doesn't have that mineral flavor to it. So when in my book there's a hint of that. The other note that I get on Tennessee bourbon is a like not buttered popcorn, but like a kettle corn kind of note. There's a hint of that. It's a little corny and a little bit like a butter, but it's like more like a buttered popcorn than a kettle corn. Again, really nice flavor, really buttery. I feel like buttery is not a note that I typically use to describe a bourbon, but it's buttery. Mm. Yeah, I keep going back to it. I mean, what did I say the proof on this was? It doesn't drink hot. 117.5. I was gonna say it's around like I would have guessed like around 115, so it wasn't too far off. It doesn't drink super hot, but it does drink like the finish lingers more than you would think it would for something 117.5 proof. Yeah, there's a lot of character there that I think that Barrel really highlights. I mean, I've said this before. I think Barrel is one of the best blenders out there. People seem to like look down on like blenders, like master blenders over master distillers. I've always said that both of those are art forms that I could not dare compete with, which is why my experiments are totally just for fun tonight. But there's like a balance there that like if you told me this was from a single distillery, I'd believe you because it has so much. I don't know. I don't want to say like so much character because that makes sense for a blend, but it's balanced and it works well and it kind of like cohesive might be a good word, but it doesn't. None of the flavors contradict each other, which sometimes happens when you're blending like Tennessee, Indiana, Kentucky. Sometimes things can be thrown off balance, but whatever's going on here, it's working really well. Let me see what they say. Let's see if we can get some more info here. Maybe some more nerdy details. We all like those from the sales sheet. Let's see. A multi-mash bill blend of 6 and 7-year-old spicy and earthy high-rye, high-proof oak-forward barrels. Did say it was very oak-forward on the nose. Was combined with a blend of 8-year-old softer, lower-proof barrels with concentrated notes of dark cherry and butterscotch. Interesting. Okay. To me, it came across more strawberry, but these are more tasting notes. They say banana bread on the nose. Hey, I said bananas. I didn't say banana bread, but got a little bit of that. They said the rye. I wasn't seeing as much rye on this. I'm definitely getting more of the spiciness, but not necessarily like a rye spice to me. Yeah. I mean, this is solid. And most of the description here is tasting notes. I don't like reading tasting notes. I'm sorry. I as a consumer, I appreciate them and I hope you guys appreciate me sharing mine, but that's all subjective. Now, this one is a gold medal winner in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition of 2023, which is exciting. But yeah, just glancing over the tasting notes, they do give a lot of, they say dried chili peppers, which is interesting. I didn't really get that, but they're getting jammy cooked fruits. They're saying a little bit of rye, like I said earlier, banana bread. Yeah, to me, not able to pull out those very specific notes, but I will say it's fruity. It's toasty, like toast is in like buttered toast, and jammy. So like, yeah, a great expression. I've been a fan of these barrel batches. Like I said, the past few that I've had have all been great. This is up there. This is really, really incredible. It might actually be a contender for one of my best whiskeys of the year, just based on first impression here. So I'm looking forward to revisiting this. But yeah, so far, Barrel 20. No, wait, what is it? So far, Barrel Batch 35 is a winner in my book. Now, price wise, what do these go for? I think barrel bourbon batches are a little bit pricey. Let me do a quick search to see if my keyboard's not dead after spilling. Let's see if I can find it locally. Batch $90. Okay, that's what I would expect, honestly. I think at that $90 price point, it's good. I think it's worth it. I think it's a good, and I don't want to say good value. I think it's a fair value, a fair price. So yeah, Barrel Batch 35 gets my vote. It's definitely good. So let me know in the comments if you guys have tried this. Is it any good? I know I asked earlier in the chat. If I missed it, I'm gonna go back through. But yeah, I'm really impressed, and I continue to be impressed by these barrel batches. So yes, thank you again. Cheers. That's for if I do a recorded video. We'll see. I did that in the last stream, and it was a lot of fun. So we might revisit that. Did I miss where anyone said they had that? DMC, did you have this one? Can't remember. Runrest says you inspired me to mix a New Riff single barrel rye and a bourbon. Okay, there you go. That's gonna be fun. Like a New Riff Boo Rye. Surprised they haven't done that. Their ryes and their bourbons are so good on their own. I haven't tried a blend, but I'm very curious. Let me know how that tastes. Eric Isaacson in the chat. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. We just did our first barrel bourbon. We're about to move on to the barrel rye. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like these barrel releases have impressed me. The past few of them, I did go with like a period without trying them, but I'm glad to revisit them and come back to them because this is knocking it out of the park for me. I think a fair price, $90. Yeah, 90's high, but that's all barrel products. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I can pour more. I want to finish it, and then we're gonna move on to the rye. For those of you just now tuning in, not only am I reviewing these new barrel releases, but I did a bit of some blending myself. Massive pours here. We're gonna call these Cliffy pours now. Is that what we're gonna trademark that? I know it's kind of ripping off Perry pour, but yeah, I mean, we did a blend based on the source whiskeys or the source states of distillation from these new barrel products. We're gonna see how they compare. Probably not much at all, but it's gonna be a fun thing. So stick around to the end, and we'll see how they do. But we're gonna do the reviews first before it gets too crazy. Coin sense and nonsense. Hey Clifton, good to see you. Hey, good to see you. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat. Your name sounds familiar, but I feel like I might be getting confused with someone else. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, good to see you again. I'm gonna play it safe there. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Like I said, your name sounds so familiar. I get confused. There's someone that's like taste and sensibility. So maybe I'm thinking of him. But if not, good to see you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the brand new batch of Barrel Rye whiskey. This is batch number 4, coming in at minimum 5 years, 6 months. Now it is a blend, so of course there's some older whiskey in there. 115.7. Is that not? No, it's close. The other one was 117.5, so it kind of got mixed up. But this one is a blend of, there's all the info there. Indiana rye, Tennessee rye, Kentucky rye, and Canadian rye. Now, this is when they break it down by age and state. So let's look at it. It says 10-year-old Indiana rye barrels with notes of brown sugar and a touch of smoke had 5- and 6-year-old barrels layered in for fruit and spice character. 14-year-old Canadian barrels were added for their dry herbal notes. The result is a fruit-forward rye with lots of depth. Well, we'll see about that, Mr. Barrell Craft Spirits. I'm just kidding. No, they're really good. Like I love their blend so much. So let's go and get this poured. Great cork pop there. Now, I know I asked about the bourbon, but has anyone had the rye or any batches? This is actually, full disclosure, this is my very first barrel rye, other than like the Stellum ryes. I've had those, but I've not had a barrel rye. So I'm curious. Have y'all had it? Let me know what you think of it. Like I said, it's a blend. So it's got some Canada. It's got some Tennessee. It's got a lot of stuff going on there. So let's go ahead and give the barrel rye batch 4 a nose. Ooh, okay. That's definitely a rye. You know, they called out rye notes on the bourbon, but this is definitely a rye. To me, it's leaning towards the sweeter notes. Like it's definitely got some of the obviously like rye bread notes, which you would expect from a rye. Seagrass is a rye. That's a good point, Donnie. I have not had any of the ones labeled barrel rye. That's a great point. Seagrass is a blend of different whiskeys that ultimately add up to be a rye, but it's not all rye that's in there. But that's excellent point, Donnie. Um, yeah. Now that you mentioned seagrass, I'm like, yeah, actually, I had completely not forgotten about that whiskey, but I had forgotten that it was, you know, essentially a rye. It's at least 51% rye whiskey. It does have a similar note. It's very sweet. You know, I said earlier about the Tennessee whiskey, the Tennessee rye being sweet, and I was worried that I might put too much of that and make it too sweet. But maybe I should add more Tennessee. We'll see when we do my experiments later. But yeah, that's sweet. A little bit on the like mentholy, like minty side of it. Kind of like a sweet, like not a peppermint, but like a I don't know. Spearmint and wintergreen to me are too similar. Like I can't tell them apart. I need Emily with like the master tasting and nosy notes over there to break down the difference between wintergreen mint and spearmint. But yeah, it's minty. It's sweet. Um, I was gonna say it's more Canadian, but the more I get into it, the more it's familiar with me, like the Indiana rye. But it's brighter than Indiana rye. Indiana rye, especially at 10 years old, is not going to be that sweet. So I think that Canadian rye is bringing out the sweetness, and maybe even the Kentucky rye because that was super sweet on its own. But anyways, uh, let's give it a try. Matthew Park says seagrass is one of the best ryes. I love seagrass. Seagrass is awesome. It's a fun one. I know a lot of people don't like it, but for me, it's a fun one. Ron Rev says I've had one or two barrels. Can't remember what they were though. Yeah, the New Year's are great. Those are always like some of my favorite. Coin Sense says I've yet to purchase a barrel product. Been curious. Well, I will say the Barrel New Year 2023 that came out end of last year was my number one whiskey of 2022, which is weird, but it came out the very end of last year, so it counts. If you're gonna start with the barrel product, try that one. It's the New Year 2023 release. It's not that much more expensive than these. It's about like 100 ish. If it's still available, it came out like I said last year, so it might be starting to disappear. But that's a great starting point. That's just a fantastic bourbon, and it really sold me on. You know, I mean, I'd already loved some of the batches of the bourbon before, but and I'd loved Seagrass, but that New Year 2023 just like wowed me, like to the fact that like I wasn't expecting it to place in my top 10, let alone get my top whiskey of the year, but it did it. So I don't know. I don't know how they did it, but all right, we've nosed the barrel batch 4 rye enough. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. Cheers. Mm. So while I think it nosed similar to seagrass, the palate's way different. I will say the sweetness that I got on the nose, I thought might have been similar to seagrass because seagrass was aged in rum cask, so it gives it a lot of sweetness. The sweetness on the nose is similar, but on the palate, the sweetness is dry. Or let me rephrase that: the palate is dry. The sweetness takes a back burner on the palate. It's definitely up front on the nose, but on the palate, it's oaky. I mean, man, what I say the whiskeys that were part of this? So it's the youngest one in it is a 6-year-old Indiana. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one. Let me go to the next page. Let's see. The youngest is a 5-year-old Indiana and a 5-year-old Tennessee. The oldest is a 14-year-old Canadian. So there is some 10-year-old Indiana in there as well, but and some 6-year Kentucky. But yeah, it doesn't on the palate. It drinks older. I mean, I thought that on the bourbon as well. I will say it's kind of like more peppery on the palate. On the nose, I didn't get that. I got like the sweet and the rye, but I'm thinking that then something out to me is like I don't know, like a bit of a pepper, not like chili pepper. I know they said chili pepper on the bourbon, but it's more of like a black pepper on the palate. It's still like, I mean, incredibly balanced, like I said about the bourbon, but it's to me, it's I don't want to say it's lacking because like that's not fair to it to compare it. To me, it's less exciting than the bourbon. I think the bourbon just really wowed me with the overall complexity of it. This is still interesting, especially the nose on this one is incredible. I like if I was just going on nose alone, I'd be like, ooh, this might be my winner. But on palate, I think it kind of I don't know. I don't know which component is making me feel that way, but it doesn't fall flat. again, that feels rude. It just is less exciting. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not quite it's not that different than other rye whiskeys I've had that are not blends, which is interesting. Like I feel like a blend should take good parts of something and make it even better. This one, while I do think it combines different parts, I don't necessarily think it makes each individual part better. Oh, some info dumps in the chat. Love it. Matthew says Indiana Rise, particularly 95.5, always flaunts a mintiness. Agreed. I love that about them. Zover says Wintermint has a more numbing note. Spearmint has a cool but fresh note to me. Plus, I grew up having them in my garden. That's fair. Independent Joe, what's up, Joe? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed the concert you were telling me about. I wish I could have made it. Matthew said I've only had one barrel rye, and man, it was good. Yeah, this is my first time trying it. So, oh, and Emily with the info dump, I'm gonna have to check that out after the stream. Thank you so much, Emily. Chocolate mint plants. Ooh, that sounds. I mean, like I'm just assuming like a chocolate mint, like candy. But yeah, let me get this fry one more taste. Maybe let me reset my palate. Let me have a sip of water. Maybe I'm missing something. No, Matthew, you said you loved the barrel rye that you had. Do you remember which batch it was? Oh, not till Sunday. Gotcha. Yeah. Like I said, I'm going out of town next weekend, so I'm taking it easy this weekend. Mm. Yeah, it's minty. It's sweet, but I think it it's good. Don't get me wrong. This is a really good rye whiskey. I just feel like it doesn't necessarily wow me as in the ways that the barrel bourbons do, or even barrel. Oh, I just kicked the bottle. Or even barrel seagrass. To me, that one like wowed me because of how different and interesting it was. But I think this one is a little more standard, a little less um exciting when it comes to like a unique flavor profile compared to the bourbon and compared to seagrass. Let me see how much this one cost. Uh, about 90. Yeah, $90 as well. For $90, these both being the same price, the rye and the new batch of bourbon, batch 35. I personally, based on my palate, recommend the bourbon. I think the bourbon to me is layered and is complex. The rye, I don't know. There's just something that I feel like is missing. Maybe it is that interesting finish from the barrel seagrass. Like I said, that's a blend of what is that finish? I don't want to just say rum because it's not just rum, but there is rum that's an influence on it. Barrel seagrass. There we go. Let's pull up the info here. Yeah, but like, oh, come on, all the pop-ups. But the finish of barrel seagrass with that Martinique rum, I don't know. But anyways, the rum, Madeira, apricot brandy finish of barrel seagrass. The apricot brandy was what I was forgetting earlier. To me, that makes it more complex and makes it more interesting. Yes, there might be older, rare rye whiskeys in this one, but for the price, I think barrel seagrass would be my drink of choice with the barrel rye. Again, this is the first barrel rye I've ever had. But yeah, I think I would go for the seagrass over this one. But for like the newest releases, I think the bourbon, the batch 35 bourbon would be the way to go out of the two. But overall, the barrel rye is good. It didn't blow my mind, but it's a really good pour. $90. If you got the money, buy both. Let me know what you think. Just if you haven't tried seagrass, I do think seagrass is a bit better. But yeah, that's my review of the Barrell Rye Batch 4. Let me know if you guys have tried it. Let me know if I'm wrong. It's just my first experience with it, first impressions, and I like to be honest here. So cheers. Thanks again to the folks at Barrels for that. Thanks again to the folks at Barrell for who sent me this bottle for review. And I look forward to future batches and trying more fun experiments like seagrass from Barrell. They always knock it out of the park. So cheers. All right. Yes, I might do a separate review of that too. We'll see. Let me see what I missed in the chat. Mint. It was Doug Crisop. Oh, but if Doug Crisop is online, he can tell you since this is bottled. Oh, gotcha. Chocolate mint, no joke, tastes like an. Oh, okay. Like it's got that candy note. Very cool. He's had it about 2 or 3 years. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. This one just for real, like it's not. Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with it at all. I'm so. I don't want to say spoiled by Barrell Seagrass, but Barrell Seagrass is so good, y'all. Like it's like y'all haven't tried it. It's like one of the most unique. It was my number one. I think it was my number one whiskey of 2022. Again, Barrel's been my number one spot for 2 years in a row. So this one doesn't quite like place up there like that one did, but it's good. I just said to me, it's not something I would seek out. I'd rather seek out the Batch 35 bourbon. Yes, y'all check out Prescription Bourbon. All the whiskey tube channels love supporting other channels. I'm trying to make it to more of y'all streams that go live. I'm literally like scheduling out like whose stream I'm gonna go. Like, okay, I went to this stream last week. Let me go to this stream next week because I do feel like a little bit like not outside of the community, but I do feel like I'm kind of like doing my own thing for too much. And I while I love doing my own thing, I also want to be part of the community because I just support so many of y'all. So even if I can't, be on Patreon, everyone's Patreon or everyone's live streams, I want to try to make more of an effort to be part of your streams. So I'm working on it. Y'all go subscribe to Prescription Bourbon. All right. Feels like Barrell Seagrass is a happy accident that went viral and was an instant success. I don't know. I was hesitant. I was like, apricot brandy. I'm like, I don't even know what to expect with that. But man, I bought backups upon backups. I actually am out of it now. I would love to go grab it, but I'm definitely out of that. Thank you, Joe, for dropping the Patreon info. Yeah, we're going to do our after party like we do every Thursday night. For everyone $10 and up on Patreon, we do a little Discord hangout. But if you're not yet a member of our Discord, hey, it's open to everyone. We just have some VIP rooms for patrons. You can check out bourbonbites.com and check out our Discord server. There's a link to it at the bottom of that. But now I think it's time to try my blends. What do y'all think? You've had a moment to settle. If you missed the beginning of the stream, I blended my own bourbon and rye whiskey based on the recipes of these barrel releases. We're going to see. Am I an expert blender or should I just give up now? So let me cleanse my palate a bit. Let me know. I know some of y'all said you were doing some blends. Let me know how they've turned out. Love to hear your thoughts before we try my atrocities. All right. So let's start with the bourbon. So as a reminder, if you missed the beginning of my stream where I was fumbling around trying to make this happen, this is a blend of Tennessee bourbon, aka Bibb and Tucker, aka Dickel. It is a blend of Remus Repeal Reserve, which is an Indiana bourbon. It is a blend of Eagle Rare 10-year, which is a Kentucky bourbon. Now, the ages aren't quite what they used in the barrel blend, but proportions also, I don't know. It's kind of like whose line is it anyway? Like it's all made up and the points don't matter. That's basically how I feel. The measurements don't matter, the ages don't matter. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just experimenting. Zover with a reminder, yes, for those of you that are on Patreon, or if you're not yet and you're curious, we have our monthly movie night where we stream an 80s/70s retro movie. We're sticking to the 80s now, but that's for everyone $5 and up on Patreon. So for like $5, just think of it as a movie ticket. You get to stream a classic movie, watch it, do a text chat with us while we're watching, sharing reactions to it live. And of course, an after party after that where we share our thoughts. It'll be my first time watching the movie this time. This is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I've never seen it. So I feel like what better time to pay tribute to, an incredible actor's career than this month. So we are doing Pee-wee's Big Adventure this Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, there'll be a text chat on Discord and a after party on Discord as well. So all the details, patreon.com/bourbonbites, which Joe just conveniently linked to there. All right, let's go and give my bourbon, my Frankenstein's Monster Blend, says Tony. Bourbon, let's give it a nose. Ooh, that's good. I'm getting a lot of that Indiana, like that Remus in there. I put just a splash of the Tennessee. I do get it on the nose a little bit. The Eagle Rare, I feel like kind of got lost, at least on the nose. I'm not necessarily getting any of that like cherry note that I typically get from Buffalo Trace. Yeah, this is all Indiana and a hint of Tennessee, but smells really freaking fantastic. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. A lot more Tennessee on the palate than I wanted. I thought I just put a splash of Tennessee, but apparently I put a little more than that. I do get a little bit of the Buffalo Trace coming out on the finish. Definitely is like up front with that with the Indiana. Mid palate's Tennessee and finish is Kentucky with my blend. Overall, not bad. Not bad at all. Honestly, if that Tennessee was toned down just a little bit, maybe like a little more Indiana, or honestly, I'd put a little more Kentucky in it. I mean, it's my blend. I'll do what I want to, right? Let's put a little more Kentucky into that. We need to drown out a bit of that Tennessee. I definitely put too much Tennessee in there. So I'll put a little more Eagle Rare. Give it a little extra age. Just kidding. The Rima's actually is older. Um, let's just like do a little shaky shake. Nose is pretty similar, but let's see how it tastes. I definitely put about another, not half ounce, but like a quarter of an ounce of the Eagle Rare in there. Better. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's expected, right? Put less Tennessee to Indiana Kentucky ratio. It's going to be a win. That's damn good. Would I sell that for $90? I think the only thing it's lacking is proof for my blend. All these whiskeys were 100 proof or less. Yeah, they were all 100 proof. How much was the Bib and Tucker? I've already hit the bottle. What is this? 92. Yeah, it's all under 100 proof or 100 proof or less. I think that's the only thing hurting this one. I think if it were a bit higher proof, it would definitely be worth $90. Like, not to toot my own horn, but it's a pretty damn good blend. So I think I did pretty well there. I'll drink more of this on the after party. We'll get into it. But now let's try the rye blend. Matthew said, not sure about house blend, but I know Lost Monarchs is one of my favorite blended whiskeys. Oh yeah, they do the Pipe Dream is their bourbon. Emerald Giant is their rye. What is the name of the blend? The American whiskey. Is it red? Is it no? Wow, Redwood Empire. No, shoot, I'm forgetting it. I own it. I just can't think of what it's called. Lost Monarch, Pipe Dream. I forget. Wait. Lost Monarch, Pipe Dream, and Emerald Giant. Emerald Giant's the rye. I'm confused. I'm also hitting that point of the night. oh man, Joe and Jeffrey walking the chat at the same time. Hey, good to see y'all. We're doing my own blends now. I did my reviews of the Barrell, and now I'm trying my own blends, and I'm trying to match their whiskeys they put into it. So let's go to the rye. We just did the bourbon blend. Let's look at our rye blend. So this is a blend of Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Canadian rye. So reminder, if you missed the beginning of my stream, by the way, hashtag Cliffy Pour. Oh, there we go with the info, Matthew. He says Emerald Giant's the rye, Pipe Dream is the bourbon, Lost Monarch is the blend. Thank you. I was getting confused. I was referring to Lost Monarch as the brand. Whew, I don't know. I've had a lot of whiskey. The Whiskey Saint in the house. What's up? Good to see you. I feel like this is the first time I've seen you here in the chat. But good to see you. Also, y'all got to check out the Whiskey Saint. I believe he's with Jeffrey Wack on Hello Again Whiskey Friends, although they don't have their channel in here in the chat. Someone drop their link. But so good to see. Hey, good to see new folks tuning in tonight. Y'all, I've been blending my own whiskeys. It's a fun night. But yeah, so good to see you, Daryl. I'm glad to see you in the chat. Hope you're doing well, man. All right, let's try my rye blend. So if you missed the beginning of my stream, I mixed in. Let me find the components here. So I wanted to make this. I'm gonna go to the next level with the rye. So what I did was I blended a 10-year Templeton rye whiskey, which they say they used a 10-year Indiana from Indiana. They didn't say where, but it's from Indiana for their base for the barrel rye. I also used some Kentucky rye, which I'm not very familiar with, but this is the Jack Daniel's single barrel rye. Again, just bought this bottle at Total Wine today. I wanted to step it up with the Kentucky rye. They used a 6-year-old Kentucky rye. I went all out. I went E.H. Taylor straight rye, 100 proof. So put that into there. And then lastly, for the Canadian rye, they used a 14-year-old Canadian rye. I don't know the age on this one, but I used the Alberta Premium cask strength. Got to up the proof a little bit there. Yeah, so we'll see how my blend is. I have no idea what to expect with this one. Oh yeah, thank you for dropping the Hello Again Whiskey Friends channel there. Anyone know anything about Whiskey League fantasy football leagues? I know there's some, but I know there's also like brackets, like people do like the whiskey brackets and stuff, but not the guy, I don't do anything sports other than work for Prime Video and do Thursday night football stuff. But other than that, that's all I know. But yeah, so let's go ahead and give my rye blend a nose. My Franken blend. Ooh. I mean, to be fair, it smells good. Y'all, it's at that point of the night where like anything like using good whiskey, no matter what it is going to be good. All the components of this I drink on their own. They're all like bottles I've owned other than the Jack Daniel's one. And will I say, wow, it doesn't nose like a rye. Definitely the barrel rye was way rye up front. This one's a little more like Hmm. It's a little more desserty. Definitely creme brulee. That's the first thing that jumps in front of my mind. It's like that sweet, a little bit of like that charred crust. I don't know what you call it, but like the charred creme brulee. Got some toastiness there for sure. Some like pie crust. I mean, not to say this is the pumpkin spice lattes of Rise, but I mean, you know, it is that season, right? Or it's about to be. Oh man, what a great nose! I mean, I gotta give it a try. let's let's try the Cliffy's Rye Blend. That would be the brulee. Thank you for the foodie advice there. Okay, I had hoped that one would hit a bit harder because it had that higher proof Canadian rye in there. It also had the Templeton 10 as a base, which is one of my favorite ryes that I own. I don't know. It kind of like, yo, I promise I love ryes, but like both the Barrel Rye Batch 4 and my rye blend just didn't quite hit tonight. The bourbons are doing way better for me. I don't know if it's just maybe it's just my palate tonight. Yeah, that one feels a little thin. The barrel definitely was better in that compartment, but the nose, I will say I do like the nose on my rye a little bit better, although the barrel's a lot more traditional. Um, yeah, I don't know. I definitely didn't nail it with this rye blend. It was just an experiment. Honestly, I think what would even make it even better is putting more of the Tennessee rye. So, as if this glass was not full enough, let's add some more Tennessee rye to it. Oh my god, this after party is going to be. I don't want to say lit. I'm definitely not cool enough for that. I just turned 30, but it's going to be fire. Oh, that's even worse. All right, we got more of the Kentucky rye in here. Let's go to give it a taste. Honestly, that made it more similar to the sweetness on the barrel rye. The barrel rye had a unique sweetness that kind of reminded me of seagrass at first. This has a bit of, you know, I don't know what Tennessee rye they're using for the barrel rye. This Jack Daniels rye is not too far off. Not gonna lie, like not to start a conspiracy or anything, but like there's some similarities there, and that actually did improve my rye blend significantly. I was hesitant to add too much of it because I thought it would be too sweet, but with more of it added, I actually enjoy it quite a bit more. So don't doubt the Tennessee with the bourbon and the rye. Well, to be fair, I put less. I like reduced the Tennessee bourbon in the bourbon, but in the rye, mm, it's good. I still think the barrel rye is better than my blend, but it's still a fun experiment to try. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm curious, like, if you guys have ever experimented anything, come back to this video, leave a comment below. What blend should I try next? What might even work better than what I've done tonight? Again, this was all new to me, never done blending very much before, but, not scientific, but all in good fun. So, think that does it for tonight. We're going to wrap up a little early. We're still going to do our after party. So, everyone, $10 and up on Patreon. Y'all know where to find us over on Discord. If we have any new patrons, I want to make sure you have your info on how to join the Discord. I don't think we do, but I just want to double check because I always hate leaving people out of the loop. But I do want to do a Patreon shout out to one of our patrons here, trying to recognize those that have been long and new patrons. So I want to give this week's shout out to Nathan Bubble Bath Bourbon. So Bubble Bath Bourbon has been a supporter of the channel since February of 2021. I feel like he is up to so much stuff in the whiskey community. I have not met him personally. I expect him to be in a Speedo when I do, based on the photos I've seen. But cheers to you, Nate. Thanks for being a supporter of the channel. And cheers to you, my friend. And cheers to all of you who tuned in live. Like I said, after party. I'll be back. I will not be live next week. I'm going on vacation to San Francisco for a long weekend, kind of Labor Day getaway. But I'll be back the weekend after that. Hoping to do a stream with the folks from Ross and Squibb. The new Remus Repeal Reserve Batch 7 was just announced. This is Batch 6. So might be doing a little something with them in September. So stay tuned. Hit subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I'm here every Thursday night, except next Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. But most of all, enjoy your night. Have some good pours. Do some experiments with blending. Experiment with other things in your life. You know what I mean? But cheers, y'all. I've talked too much. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Bye.